The Viewpoint is live now.
जो ऑर्डर करते हैं जंग को, उनको सामने खड़ा कर देना चाहिए कि ये लो भाई बंदूकें पकड़ो, पहले आप लड़ो, एक दिन के अंदर बंद हो जाएगा। जब भी जंग होती है तो दोनों तरफ के लोग मरते हैं और फिर their families are without their sons, without their fathers.
It was that moment when the person asking to sit in the most respected seat in our country imitated a disabled reporter, someone he outranked in privilege, power, and the capacity to fight back.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of The Viewpoint. History has proven again and again and again that war destroys. And the most complex of problems in the world have been resolved only and only through dialogue. So when Salman Khan chose to say that those who talk war should fight themselves and they will know that it's not worth it, was he just stating the obvious? And by doing that, as some say, was he trying to seek publicity for his upcoming movie Tube Light, particularly in Pakistan, because his movies do really well in Pakistan? How often does Salman take a stand on the nation's pressing issues? Many Bollywood stars who do take political positions end up saying either sorry or generally retract under counter pressure. This brings us to a bigger question. You look at Hollywood, Meryl Streep, Robert De Niro, Samuel Jackson, even Clint Eastwood, who spoke to an empty chair called Obama. Regardless of criticism and outrage, they take clear political positions. Is it too much to expect the same from our superstars? Rajni steers clear from politics. Amitabh Bachchan steers clear from talking anything about politics. Many would ask us, why do they need to talk politics? Hell they do. They are part of mass communication's most important tool, that is cinema. These celebrities have a duty towards the people of this country to explain their way of thought and not just sit on a high pedestal. Let's take a look at the headlines that we are tracking on Viewpoint this evening. Salman's Bhaichara ahead of the release of the film Tube Light. The actor jumps into the Indo-Pak debate, bats for talks with Pakistan and says war is not a solution. Now Salman takes a dig at the armchair warriors too and all the trolls. He says those ordering wars should go to the border and fight themselves. They won't last even a day. Who was this message for? And also, when it comes to making political statements in Bollywood, are commercial compulsions always and always at play for our cinestars? Can we ever hope for a Meryl Streep moment in this country? So that's going to be our top focus right here on Viewpoint. By speaking up for peace and not war with Pakistan, Salman Khan is really taking a political stand, or is he stating the obvious? Remember Meryl Streep's famous anti-Trump speech, which we just played out a short excerpt. We'll be playing that out in great detail also for you. Will our actors ever take a clear position, a clear political position, like their colleagues do in Hollywood?
They are the country's biggest stars, the role models the nation looks up to. Representing an industry that is by far the most powerful mass communication tool, but when it comes to making political statements, they run for cover. Some have burnt their fingers while taking a stand.
Kiran and I have lived all our lives in India. For the first time, Kiran says, should we move out of India? Now that's a disastrous and very big statement for Kiran to make to me.
Others have had to pay a very heavy price.
I would like to say that of course I will not engage with talent from the neighboring country given the circumstance.
And some make you wonder if they're making a statement for commercial compulsions.
आई थिंक जो ऑर्डर करते हैं जंग को उनको सामने खड़ा कर देना चाहिए कि ये लो भाई बंदूकें पकड़ो, पहले आप लड़ो, एक दिन के अंदर बंद हो जाएगा, पैर कांपने शुरू हो जाएंगे, हाथ कांपने शुरू हो जाएंगे.
When there is constant exchange of bullets, when our nation is fighting and those jawans and those army people are dying out there or being killed and are killing, and I sit down and I isolate them, what are they supposed to do?
Amitabh Bachchan wrote letters on feminism while promoting Pink. But when he was questioned on Priyanka Chopra being trolled for wearing a dress while meeting the Prime Minister, Big B was mum.
ना तो मैं पीएम हूँ ना प्रियंका चोपड़ा कैसे जवाब दे सकता हूँ मैं आपको.
Cut to Hollywood, where politics and free speech have always taken center stage.
It's something to be thought about.
It was that moment when the person asking to sit in the most respected seat in our country imitated a disabled reporter, someone he outranked in privilege, power, and the capacity to fight back.
I haven't cried that hard since I found out that there's 23 million unemployed people in this country. And now that is something to cry for, because that is a disgrace, a national disgrace, and we haven't done enough, obviously. This administration hasn't done enough to cure that.
We are against this war, Mr. Bush. Shame on you, Mr. Bush.
The blunt question tonight: if Hollywood can do it, then why do our stars shy away from taking political positions?
Quickly take a look at Bollywood's track record as far as big political issues are concerned. How many take positions? So you've got a nationalist brigade, these men that you see, men and women on the screen right now. Then the next brigade are of the fence-sitters, and we have quite too many of them, and this is exactly the brigade that is in question today. And then you've got the liberal voices, who are often under attack also from the nationalist brigade. But is that the only way division should take place in Bollywood, or we should have more and more people speaking about more and more issues so that we actually know how celebrities are thinking, not just three basic divisions: nationalists, liberal, as well as fence-sitters. So in the nationalist brigade, you've got Anupam Kher, who usually talks about how Pakistani actors must condemn attack on Indians. You've got fence-sitters like Ranbir Kapoor, who says that I don't want to sound preachy and like a healer talker, but we are living in some hard times right now, a very balanced sort of approach. And then you've got the liberal voices like Farhan Akhtar, who say, personally do believe that there is a certain distinction to be made between artists and others. Remember, this is in the back of that entire debate whether Pakistani artists should be coming to India or not. Then you've got Pehlaj Neelani of the Censor Board, who says, why are artists getting sentimental over banning Pakistani artists? Fence-sitters like Salman Khan, war is not a sensible move, nobody benefits from a war, stating the obvious is the criticism against him. And then liberal voices like Kailash Kher. There are many examples, as you would see on the screen right now as we keep loading. You've got Madhur Bhandarkar fighting from the Nationalist Brigade. A fence-sitter like Kangana Ranaut usually does not mince her words, but on issues of importance, taking political positions, she chooses to be a fence-sitter. And then many liberal voices like Bharti Singh. So this list goes on and on. You've got Raveena Tandon, who has been pretty vocal of late. Saif Ali Khan, again, chooses to be a fence-sitter. And Anurag Kashyap, who takes very strongly an opinion. So we by no means are saying that people do not take positions, but they only choose to take positions which will suit their agenda. And they will not speak on everything. So they will choose a topic on which they will speak. So seldom do we know what exactly is on the mind of our superstars, particularly this man, Amitabh Bachchan, and for that matter, even Rajnikant. They shy away from taking any big political position. So that brings us to the blunt question that we are asking tonight. Is it time for Bollywood, ladies and gentlemen, to take clear political positions? I mean, can we not expect just this much from our superstars? Joining us, Shaina NC, BJP spokesperson, who says that it's a statesman-like comment from Salman Khan, but many people from her own political party feel that there could be some ulterior motive, perhaps a publicity stunt on the part of Salman Khan that he's making a statement like this. Dilip Tahil, actor, says Salman Khan has no interest in politics. We'll also be joined in by Rachel. She's a professor at the SOAS who says Salman is the least political of the three Khans. Ayaz Memon, resident commentator, who says that actors should steer clear of politics. So I'll have to ask some tough questions to Mr. Memon on why does he think this way. And Rajiv Masan. It'll be interesting to hear his view on what he thinks about Bollywood and its track record as far as commenting on politics is concerned. But first, I want to start by giving, as the rules of Viewpoint dictate, 1 minute of uninterrupted time. So I'm going to give that 1 minute time first to Shaina NC, the BJP spokesperson. Shaina, your 1 minute of uninterrupted time starts now.
Firstly, I think that in a democracy we need to understand that we need to respect others' opinions irrespective of our own ideology. On a particular issue there may be multiple viewpoints. Now coming to Salman Khan's comment today, I mean it is his individual opinion. Does war do good for anybody? It obviously doesn't, but this is not a decision which is going to be taken by certain strata of society or celebrities or even the common man. This is a decision which is normally always taken by the government of the day in collusion with the army and the Honorable Prime Minister, and that too only in the gravest of scenarios as a last option, which is not announced on national television. Absolutely. As a strategy. So that is one aspect of this debate. The second and more important aspect is that why are we as a society being so judgmental? He's made a viewpoint that, every time a soldier loses life, India stands in solidarity with that household, because we do believe that there are people who have lost lives and lost lives fighting for the country, which is a sad commentary on the entire scenario of fighting terror. But that is a sentiment which is echoed. I don't think we need to be moral custodians of other people's opinion.
You made your point. Let me quickly go across to actor Dilip Tahil now. Dilip Tahil, your 1 minute of uninterrupted time to this question that we are asking. Does Bollywood now need to take clear political positions? What is wrong if India expects this of them? Dilip.
Well, first of all, a very good evening to you.
Good evening.
And it's not a collective thing. I mean, I think Bollywood now, more than ever before, has been, and several people who are from the film industry have now more than ever before begun to take a stand in politics and begun to express their views. And thanks to the television media that has given the opportunity to do so. So I think that's happening. However, in this case, as far as Salman's statement goes, I totally support it. I have never believed that war is a solution. However, I understand that the situation between India and Pakistan, mainly with the terrorist situation, is layered. But if we close the door to dialogue and talk, that is exactly what the terrorists want. And that is why every time we come close to some sort of a dialogue with Pakistan, there is an attack from that point of view. And as far as that goes, I totally support the statement that we have to keep dialogue open.
We have to keep dialogue open. That is Dilip Tahil's view. Let me also quickly go across to Rachel. She's a professor of Indian cultures and cinema at the SOAS. Rachel, your opening comments. 1 minute of uninterrupted time before we deep dive into the debate.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I don't think Salman's comment is very controversial. I mean, the last people who ever want to go to war are usually the soldiers. And I suppose my question really to you is, why do you expect to link film stars with politics? I mean, the old joke is that politics is showbiz for ugly people, but I think that's a little unkind today. And perhaps the role of film stars is to take a more presidential approach, to stay outside of politics, really. This is a film which is for a mass audience, and the way that the stars can really show their politics is through the films themselves. So Salman's recent films, those with Kabir Khan, like Ek Tha Tiger, or my great favourite, Bajrangi Bhaijaan, make political statements to me which are far greater than anything that a film star who is not a politician could ever say. I mean, there are film stars like Amir who, through his shows like Satyamev Jayat, they are able to say things politically, but that's not Salman's role. Salman's role is to entertain us, but he is to give us films which we find entertaining, perhaps because politically relevant.
Okay, Rachel. Thanks very much for the three opening comments. Now let's quickly go into this debate. I want to introduce Rajiv Masan. Rajiv, first of all, I want to know from you, is it too much to expect this from our cinestars, that they take political positions? Because, you know, it happens in the West, it happens in Bollywood, in Hollywood, sorry. We have seen Meryl Streep, you know, a whole host of stars, particularly, you know, I was amused by what Clint Eastwood did, talking to an empty chair. That's a statement. So is it wrong for us to expect Bollywood stars to do the same?
Well, it's not wrong. I mean, Bollywood stars should use their clout, their influence, the power that they have to talk about issues that are important, to talk about current affairs. But how can we ask that question in a country like India where the repercussions are so great? We've seen it in the case of actors like Amir Khan, who came out and spoke about what his wife told him about wanting to move out of India because she didn't feel safe in this country. We've seen it in the case of films that have been held to ransom because a Pakistani actor was used in that film. How do you expect, and how can one expect, you know, in all honesty, film stars to come out and take a stand, or to be, you know, to make political statements, or to even, you know, really express themselves and how they feel on major current affairs, when freedom of speech is something that is not really respected even in this country? You know, in the West, when we talk about, when you give the example of Meryl Streep, when you give it's encouraged. You're encouraged to speak your mind. Freedom of speech has great value there. You can't compare it here, because the fallout of making those statements, the fallout of expressing oneself is so great that film stars are constantly, and it's not just them. It's, you know, there are film stars who've spoken to me and actors who've told me that we would take a stand and we would say what we had to say, and we would even bear the repercussions of it if the repercussions were just we had to face them. But the repercussions are on their families, on films. You know, films are held to ransom because an actor said something, an actor took a stand. I mean, remember the issue with Amir Khan during Fana. His film didn't release in Gujarat because he took a stand on the you know, on an issue at the time. So you can't expect, you cannot expect them to take a stand. You cannot expect them to you know, to make a political statement when so many lives and so many careers are going to be affected as a result.
That's an important point that you make, Rajiv. And I ask, before I come back to you, and you know, you can perhaps you know, tell us a little about what your real viewpoint is on this issue. Shaina NC, would you agree with that criticism? Do you think that Bollywood today is scared of the consequences, as Rajiv puts it?
Consequences. Please don't make out our government to be some kind of a you know, autocratic government, because we are not. We believe that you can have contrarian opinions, opinions that coexist. However, when it comes to issues such as national security and terror, there is a non-negotiable, and that is going to be a matter of ultimate concern for the government of the day, to ensure that people don't cross the line, because that comes in the way of national security. Other than that, I think everyone is entitled to their opinion. I don't see why this hue and cry. I don't even know why I'm asked to comment as a BJP spokesperson, because this is really an individual opinion of an individual actor, and that is not something that one needs to sit on moral judgment
Rajiv,
about.
what is the ground reality?
I do, however, want to say, 1 second.
Yeah.
I just want to make one quick point to Rajiv.
Yeah.
You know what seems to come across in this film fraternity is all the comments are very self-centered. It's either to promote a film, or it's either when somebody wants to take on a stand for themselves, which becomes a bigger issue. You take a case like Fatima Sana. I may not have agreed with what she was wearing, but the fact that she posted something, you had the Maulvis of a community taking her on, and absolute silence from the entire film fraternity. So they're kind of disconnected, where they don't have a natural cause to play or anything to connect themselves with. and when it comes to something which is an issue of their film which they need to promote,
Rajiv, the point that China seems to be making.
To that, I just want to say Amir Khan. You know, when Amir Khan spoke out, he was not promoting a film. There was no film, that was about to be released at the time. Look at the backlash that Amir Khan faced at the time. You're not entirely incorrect. But I think actors tend now, they're so wary of speaking publicly that the only time you actually see them is when they've got movies coming out. So as a result, those statements are perhaps made around the time of a movie release, and perhaps it looks like that it's a publicity stunt. In the case of this film, if you just look at the clip, if you look at the entire clip of Salman Khan talking about this, he was clearly being asked by the journalists about his view on war, but given that the film that he's made has the backdrop of a war. So I don't think that's always true. I do think that there is a sense of wariness within the film community. They do not want to take political stands. They do not want to be commenting on issues because it affects way too many people. It affects way too the repercussions are just not what they bargain for.
Well, Ayaz, just a corollary to that particular thought. During the emergency, it was said of journalists that we were asked to bend, but we crawled, right? Do you think that this is also a case for Bollywood, that there may be some sort of a sentiment which China NC does not seem to agree with, some sort of a sentiment that there is fear in Bollywood, that actors, big stars feel, let me just keep quiet, refrain from making a comment because something somewhere may go wrong, and there is a life and career of a lot of people at stake. But do you think that fear has taken the better of them and they may have been asked to bend, but they're actually crawling?
Well, first things first, I actually quite support what Salman Khan has said.
You support?
I support it.
Okay.
So I don't think what you said is wrong. I think everybody in his right mind would support.
Absolutely.
You don't want war. So that's not the point. I think, look, just to kind of give it a perspective, public figures, and that includes even sports persons, in India have always been wary. It's not like in the US. I mean, we give examples of Meryl Streep or whoever else, but even in the 1950s, the American actors were very vocal politically. In fact, they were political activists and they were hounded by the FBI there. So there is a tradition in the US film industry or Hollywood of of actors taking a political stand. Even sports stars. In the 1968 Olympics, you had the athletes going and giving the Black Power salute, being barred for life, but they were fighting a political cause. That has not necessarily been the situation in India.
My bigger problem, Ayaz, over here is, and I want to go across to this wall to basically explain it better, is how, and I want to use a harsh word for Bollywood, how many of these cinestars are basically spineless. You have a spineless U-turn. Rajiv Masan says that's got to do with the fact that careers are at stake. But take a look at these things. Amir Khan said, when I chat with Kiran at home, she says, should we move out of India? She fears about what the atmosphere around us will be. What happened subsequently when there was huge hue and cry over this comment? Well, he had to retract. There was a U-turn where he said, I love my country, I was born here and I will die here. I have never thought of leaving India and will never take such a step. Right? So there was a U-turn as far as his position is concerned. Shah Rukh Khan, what did he say? There is intolerance, there is extreme intolerance, there is growing intolerance. Strong words that he used, huge backlash, the U-turn. I never said India is intolerant. I had just said that the youth should concentrate on making this a secular, progressive country. Nothing wrong in this statement, but juxtapose this with what he said earlier and you see a hint of a U-turn that has been made by Shah Rukh Khan. Another person, Karan Johar, as far as that "Ae Dil Hai Mushkil" controversy is concerned. He says, and I quote, there is nothing that can justify this terrible feeling of terror. Then you are faced in a situation such as this, asking for a ban on Pakistani artists. If this was truly a solution, one would take it. After the criticism, after the hue and cry, the U-turn, right? Nothing comes first for me but my country. Of course, I won't engage with talent from the neighboring country given the situation, unquote. Rachel, my bigger concern over here is this. If you are not confident as cinestars, as directors, as actors, and you're seen as role models, then why make a comment in the first place? You basically said that why is it expected of them to make a comment? My point is, now that you've made a comment, why retract?
I agree with you. I mean, I would very much go for the view that they don't need to make a comment usually at the moment. But I think it's also one of those things, many people in the arts are of a leftist persuasion. They're often critical of the status quo. They want change. They want innovation. And, there's different politics going on in the world at the moment. So some of them might feel that they've said something and then realise that they're actually alienating their audiences or whipping up a controversy that they didn't really know they were getting into. And they don't always seem to have the PR people to advise them what they should say and where they should say it.
Okay, significant. Mr. Dilip Tahil, let me put this question to you. Do you think that Bollywood is way too scared, far more than what it should actually be?
I don't know. That's a really strange kind of question, to be very honest. Because let me tell you one thing: this whole misconception that you have that Bollywood is an inclusive and it's one entity is a misconception. There are individuals who work in the film industry, who make up this film industry, and they have their different persuasions, they have their different belief, and they come under the umbrella which you collectively call Bollywood.
No, Mr.
You also call people spineless in Bollywood.
Mr. Tahil, just one moment.
Let me tell you, there was a McCarthy, there was, wait a minute, let me finish.
Just one moment, Mr. Tahil. One point that I wanted to say. See, because you had made a comment.
You let me finish.
You had made a comment.
Why
I
are you
want to come
interrupting
in.
me?
No, because
why
you
are you
made...
interrupting me?
Okay,
no.
go ahead. Because you made a comment.
You said the movie industry is spineless. Well, let me tell you. No, why are you butting in? Let me tell you that there was the McCarthy era in the US. And if you think that the only people who are spineless under political pressure are the film industry, what about the media? You haven't exactly covered yourself in glory either.
Okay. Strong point. Thank you very much, Mr. Tahil. We will introspect. But my point is, when you say, and the reason why I wanted to come in...
don't make it collective.
No, just one moment.
Everybody in Bollywood
Mr.
is
Tahil,
spineless.
the reason why I wanted to come in over here was the point that you made about Bollywood not being a composite entity. I am not asking you to speak in unison. But speak, damn it. That is the point that I am making. And what is wrong if I expect my cinestars to speak? What is wrong if I expect Mr. Amitabh Bachchan to make a political comment on the big political development which concerns many people in this country, which is the national discourse?
Absolutely nothing wrong.
That's exactly my point.
But you think it's a collective voice.
I am not saying it's a collective voice.
All of Bollywood is spineless. Why shouldn't Bollywood speak in one voice? But they're not one.
I never said they should speak in one voice.
They're not one. This is not one entity. It is.
No, I never said they should speak in one voice.
Referring to it like everybody should come out and condemn something. Why
Did I say
is
that?
Bollywood not condemning this? Why is Bollywood not doing this?
Through the course of the past 22 minutes, even once,
absolutely said it.
Even once where I have said that, Ayaz, even once if I say that Bollywood should speak in unison, that is not what I am saying. But speak on those big issues. It is expected of our cinestars to speak.
Sanket, I think there are a couple of layers here. There are some nuances. One is that, it comes out of conviction. It comes out of political awareness. It comes out of political thought.
So you're saying they're not politically aware?
No, some may be. Some may not be. Some may be issue driven. Some may be ideology driven. Some may be, pro-government or anti-government driven, whatever may be the case. The point is that if somebody makes a statement, we are now in the age where we are discussing everything threadbare. I think there is a certain wariness in our arts and in our industry, and as I mentioned earlier, even the sports fraternity. They don't come out openly. I think that thing is changing now. What we've seen over the last few years, more and more people are expressing their opinions.
Yes.
Whether this way or that way.
Maybe they're confident of
maybe
their
they're
expression.
confident. Yeah. Sometimes they're not confident of an issue. For instance, if you had to get opinions on demonetization, I don't know if everybody may have a loose opinion.
Yes.
But they may not have a hard opinion because not their
So you're basically saying, to that point, to that particular aspect, I agree, Rajiv. Would you also agree that, if I cannot give an informed opinion, I would rather shut up? But choosing to keep quiet is a problem.
And that's what a lot of actors are doing now. That's that's what a lot of film people are doing. They're absolutely insisting that they not be asked questions that are not relevant to their films, that are not questions to their performances. In fact, I'm going to agree with what Rachel Dwyer said. The most political you can be is pushing your beliefs, your ideologies through your films. And in that, filmmakers like Mani Ratnam, filmmakers like Kabir Khan are doing that through their films. They're making political statements however, packaged, however entertainingly, but that is the extent of really a film star's responsibility. You're saying, Sudeep, that film stars should, and we must expect it from them to take a stand. But we can't be so naive to not view the climate. Shaina NC may say that it's not true, that this mood of this illusion that there is fear is unfounded, but that's not true. We've seen that in the case of films. We've seen that in the case of actors who've been boycotted. Their films have been attacked. There have been threats to their life. How can we conduct this debate without considering that? You can't expect them to make we will never have a Meryl Streep. We will never have a Clint Eastwood. They are protected by freedom of speech and expression. That's not really the case here. We are not tolerant of people saying
it's interesting.
As a society.
It's interesting. Shaina.
We don't respect people who have a differing viewpoint.
Shaina, my point is that you may not agree with what Rajiv is saying, but if this is a fear that Rajiv...
His perception versus mine.
Yeah, but that's true. But do you realize that when you are in power, it is expected of you to address that concern? How is your government addressing that concern? If actors, cinestars, directors, all of them have this feeling that they should not speak because something untoward may happen or their careers are at stake, do you think that the onus is on you to provide that environment?
Give me one example of one actor who feels that his career is at stake and the government has intervened or the government has some role to play.
Rajiv?
The problem is we have become too judgmental. We have become moral custodians of one another. Rajiv may be entitled to his perception, I am entitled to mine. But the reality is that this word tolerance and intolerance has been so misconstrued. Please give me examples. Give me examples of somebody. If you talk about a backlash towards Amir Khan, it is society that speaks up. It is not government. Government's job is not to comment on individual comments. The government's job is to work on a larger agenda, which is to ensure that there is no law and order situation. If there is a situation of law and order, that's where the administration and the government needs to intervene.
Okay.
Not on individual comments
let's quickly listen into Rajiv.
people. And do understand, one minute. This whole debate of tolerant versus intolerant, how many times has it been a segment and section of society responding or reacting to an opinion? How many times is it that the media is deliberating and discussing? The government has only one agenda, which is to work and to keep this country safe, secure and cosmopolitan and secular, which is an agenda whether you believe it or not, whether you want to get into that whole strip of pseudo-seculars or fringe. That is your perception. Our perception is, the reality is, let me not even say the perception, the reality is we are here to work and to ensure peace.
Rajiv, to that extent, do you think that Bollywood, kind of pretends that there is a crisis?
No, I don't think so. I think it's happened. I mean, I'm saying when that film last year was held to ransom, why wasn't something done more quickly? Why did it have to get to the point where it became so ugly, where where there was all this situation where the filmmaker had to commit that amount, and then there was this whole debate whether he was pressurized to make that. Why did it get to that point? Why is the filmmaker not? Why was he not immediately protected? Sorry, I missed that. Why was the filmmaker not immediately protected? Why don't they have that security to know that I've made a film 2 years ago. I've made a film when relations were not as tense as they are. I used a Pakistani actor in that film. Why do I not have the security of knowing that I will be able to release this film without going through the stress that filmmaker did?
Okay, why do you call it frivolous, Shaina?
You are questioning us. Absolutely frivolous arguments. You are questioning us on a bunch of hooligans who want to emerge themselves, and then you have the certain part of the film fraternity buckling up under pressure, wanting the assurance which the government gives them, and despite that feeling that we are the ones behind this entire so-called conspiracy. I think this is unfortunate. Do understand, we have had the political will to say that our only priority is to ensure that there is no law and order situation, and the state government has always done so.
Ayaz, before I come back to you, Dilip Tahil Sahab, I'll ask you a question, but before that, let me quickly play out two bites two reactions that we have been able to gather. One of the film director of this movie, Tube Light, and also one of this Pakistani actor called Faisal Qureshi. And I want to play this out. What he's saying is not something which anyone in India will appreciate. But, I want to play this out so that you can see that how aware and how politically sound actors are in airing their opinion, even in Pakistan. So let's play out these two reactions back to back, and then we'll come back to Dilip Tahil.
The challenge becomes how to slip in the politics without offending. See, anyway, when you're putting in politics, you don't necessarily want to offend people. Yeah. Yes, there are people who will not agree with your politics. Correct. But I think if you can slip it in without offending people, or even if you're taking a dig at somebody and that person doesn't realize, is this a dig at me, what is happening over here? I think that's the best way to slip in your politics.
वो तमाम कश्मीरीज़ को मैं ये अवार्ड डेडिकेट कर रहा हूँ जो सेक्रीफाइस कर रहे हैं, जुल्म सह रहे हैं, तकलीफें सह रहे हैं. उन तमाम लोगों के लिए है ये अवार्ड. हम सब पाकिस्तानी आपके साथ हैं. कभी मत सोचिएगा कि हम पीछे हटेंगे.
So, Dilip Tahil, the point that I'm trying to make over here is that actors express themselves. They express themselves beyond their movies as well. It happens in the West. It is even happening in Pakistan. So, where is anyone wrong in this country to expect the same happening in this country also?
We go right back to the same thing. I mean, you just keep clubbing Bollywood as an entity that is all encompassed under one umbrella. There are individuals. They have an individual point of view. They have the right to give their individual point of view. Some people agree with certain things that different actors say, different actors or directors or people who constitute the part of the film industry have different views. So what, you're telling me from what I heard that basically you're giving me a lecture in diplomacy? You're saying that, okay, you can say something against politicians, but try to sugarcoat it so that they're not aware. I mean, that's his opinion. I mean, where does that get us? I mean, what are we talking about? I mean, I to an extent certainly think Rajiv has a point that it is not easy, though, there is a lot of belief that you can say what you like in this country, and to an extent you can, but it is also backfires, which is a problem with all celebrities the world over. I mean, you have to be careful of what you say. I say that celebrities and people whose opinion whose opinion counts should at the time express their opinion so that the people you can have an influence on people the right way. However, sometimes people make statements that upset certain sentiments in a country as diverse as India. So they take their statement back and say that I'm sorry if I upset people's sentiment. What is the crime in that? I don't understand.
No, there's no crime.
You make statements in the media, people make statements everywhere and then change their mind. So what is it a crime to change your mind and say I'm sorry if I upset somebody's sentiment? I mean, why is that such a bad thing?
I asked Memon, the quick closing comment. Basically, the point is that Bollywood shies away. It's pretty obvious with what Rajiv is saying, with what Dilip Tahil is saying. Shaina feels that there is no problem. I mean, name one person who has been bullied by the government into doing this. But do you think that there is now a need, or at least a large agreement that I see over here, of they should not speak in one uniform voice or in unison, but at least they should start expressing themselves on the important issues which touch everyone's lives. You don't need to be a genius to comment on those points.
I think the performing artists, they feel the most vulnerable because that's the only thing they've got. They've got a reputation, they've got a market, and they have to protect it as much as they can. When push comes to shove, if that market, their brand, if I may call it that, or their reputation is at risk, they might shy away unless there is enough in the environment to support it. That's what happens. But I think just to come back to Salman's statement, this is a very generic statement. It's not even a political statement.
Yeah, it's not a big political statement.
It's not even, it's about saying let's not have war here. I mean, it doesn't serve anybody's purpose. So I think
by the way, for everyone, thank you very much, Rachel, Dilip Tahil Saab, Shaina, Rajiv, as well as Aya Saab. By the way, towards the end, I just want to say that nowhere does this channel or any of its representative advocate war. We are all with that statement, in agreement with that statement that has been made. The only political question that is now being asked of Salman Khan is, why did he choose to say this now? Is he trying to promote his movie? Which is fine, which is again a view. Thanks very much to all the ladies and gentlemen joining in our first debate. We are moving on to debate number 2 on Viewpoint tonight. The Ayush Ministry that is responsible for the spread of Ayurveda and yoga, has a piece of advice for pregnant women. A booklet for pregnant mothers that has been under circulation for, in fact, 4 years now. It came out, and we want to clarify this, came out in UPA 2 regime in 2013. It has existed in the UPA regime too, has got fresh attention thanks to the booklet being circulated on Yoga Day. Its contents, in fact, some of it is simple like avoiding anger, some of it is banal like avoid bad company, and some of the content is actually controversial, like stay away from lust and desire and don't eat meat. In fact, a day after the release of the booklet, the Ayush Ministry has come out with a clarification. The said booklet puts together relevant and useful information. I'm quoting that statement, culled out from many years of clinical practice in the fields of yoga and naturopathy. This publication has been in distribution through the units of the erstwhile Department of Ayush and CCRYN since 2013. The words no sex do not feature at all in the booklet, unquote. So this is a statement as far as the Ayush Ministry is concerned. But there are some who will call this an unnecessary controversy. Before we debate this, we want you to decide with this simple fact check.
A few sanskari tips if you're expecting what they say is good news. The Ministry of Ayush ahead of International Yoga Day has a list of do's and don'ts for expecting mothers. No lust, no meat, no bad thoughts essentially. Let's take them one by one through a clinical fact check. Number 1. Avoid feelings like desire, anger, attachment, hatred and lust. The fact check. Controlling anger and hatred is understandable and not just for pregnant women. But not sure why the ministry wants to control desires. Desires of a pregnant woman, mind you. They don't say sex, but they actually mean no to sex. Here is the fact check. Sex during a normal pregnancy is just fine. Number 2. Avoid bad company. Be in peaceful, stable conditions. The only fact check possible here, if it's true for humanity, it must be true for pregnant women too. Advisory number 3. Stay away from non-vegetarian food. Fact check. Meats are in fact a good source of protein and iron if you like it. And here are some more gems. Hang some beautiful pictures in the bedroom. Have spiritual thoughts. Read the life stories of great personalities. Keep calm.
All right, so the blunt question that we are asking, does it eventually now boil down to a debate between Ayurveda and allopathy? You know, because whenever we'll discuss something like this, you will have people who will say, no, Ayurveda is very good. It's you know, for many, many thousands of years it has existed, and we are not challenging that. At the very beginning, I want to say that there is absolutely nothing wrong with Ayurveda. But on the other hand, you have allopathy, medical science, you know, Western medical science, medicines, which a lot of people say that is the way of being. Dr. Mala Srivastav, she's a senior consultant at the Department of Gynecology at the Sir Gangaram Hospital. We'll soon also be joined in by Venugopal Narayan in just a short moment. But I want to come across to you, Mala Srivastav. You know, ultimately, a lot of people are going to bring this down to this debate between Ayurveda versus allopathy. Where do you stand?
No, there is nothing, no debate between Ayurveda and allopathy. We all take care of the pregnant mothers and we take care of the mothers in the best way that we can. Whether a doctor belongs to Ayurveda or doctor belongs to allopathy, we all at the end of the day wants interest and the best health of the mother or the baby that we are looking after.
But Dr. Srivastav, you know, this whole thing about, you know, not eating meat, not indulging in intercourse, give us a fact check on this.
See, basically it varies from patient to patient. If the patient has previous history of abortion, bad obstetric history, we try to take extra care of those special mothers. we tell our mothers not to have intercourse in the first 3 months and last 3 months of the pregnancy, because in first 3 months there is more chances of having abortion, especially if the placenta is low lying, placenta is still forming, or if there is subchorionic hemorrhage. We ask the patients to take rest, take off from office, take some special medicines so that she can carry on the pregnancy smoothly and not abortion. And especially in this last 3 months, if the patient is having placenta previa, that is low lying placenta, we tell them to take bed rest. Do not do any household work, because we want the mothers to rest and do not land up into APH, that is antepartum hemorrhage. If especially the patient is having previous history of preterm labors, then also we ask them not to indulge in intercourse in the last 3 months so that she do not go into preterm labor. If the patient is having twin pregnancy or multiple pregnancy, also these patients are more prone to go into preterm labor. So as a precaution, we tell them to take bed rest, do not indulge in heavy exercise or heavy household work or heavy strenuous work at office. And we ask them to take it easy, relax, do little work as much as possible, take adequate amount of rest. And thus we ask them to look after the baby as well as themselves.
Absolutely.
That's the medical point.
Yeah, that's the medical point, and I don't think it's very different from what Ayurveda or the Ministry of Ayush booklet talks about. It's just that this explains it or the situation far more logically to a lot of people.
Explaining special situations in some patients.
Absolutely. Venugopal Narayan also now joins us. Mr. Venugopal Narayan, do you think that a lot of people will eventually bring this down to Ayurveda versus allopathy? The fact that our natural ways of healing, the Indian way of healing, is actually like this. This is exactly what it preaches. And to some extent, it survived all these years.
You see, we are talking about the yoga. Yoga in this connected to this Ayurveda. Ayurveda itself means that this is the life, longevity of life with sufficient health. So coming to this question of yoga, it's only a way of life, keeping the body as well as the mind and the brain, that is the intellectual thought.
No, Mr. Venugopal, I'm actually just referring to this booklet of the Ayush Ministry which has been redistributed, which actually talks about not having meat, not indulging in intercourse, and these are, by the way, this is an advisory, a suggestion. Do you think that the booklet has been scientifically able to explain to women what they should be doing?
No, that is not sufficient, and moreover, it is not exactly applicable and practical. Because this engaging in mutual connection, that is not prohibited anywhere in any text or in any possible manner. And even those who are practicing celibacy, that is the rishis of India, the Bharat, they were also leading family life. And coming to the question of eating meat, we all know that red meat is prohibited everywhere. And moreover, generally the meat is not the exact meal for human beings. They have to go along or in harmony with the nature.
But see, that's exactly the point, Mr. Venugopal. I would like to get in Dr. Srivastav here. Dr. Srivastav, in a lot of places in this country, meat, and by meat I don't mean beef, I mean meat is also a cheap source of protein, or a source of protein to start with. And it's considered healthy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good source of protein. Yeah, non-vegetarian food is a good source of protein as well as quite a few of the vitamins. But if the patient is a vegetarian by diet or by habit, we can just guide them to take vegetarian diet rich in proteins. If the patient is non-vegetarian by habit, then we can also guide them to take proper non-vegetarian diet. Suppose we have to tell them take high protein diet during pregnancy, which is good for the mother, good for the baby.
Okay.
We tell them take regular egg and fish or chicken.
So
red meat, by and large, we tell not to take to most of the patients.
Yes.
Because it helps in gaining weight fast.
So
that pregnant or non-pregnant.
I get your point. I get your point. Dr. Srivastava, you know, the sense that I seem to get at this moment, at the end of this short discussion, by speaking to Mr. Narayan and you, is the fact that you are largely in agreement as far as Ayurveda as well as allopathy is concerned. We're basically talking about a healthy living. It's just that the doctor is explaining whatever Ayurveda advocates in a more logical and scientific way. We're stopping for a short break here on Viewpoint. When we come back, we'll take a look at the hero, villain and the ridiculous of the day, and also tell you the latest about the big cricket match. Are we to expect an Indo-Pak encounter come Sunday? Back in a moment. Welcome back. It could well be the big subcontinent cricketing battle in England. Pakistan on their semi-final against England in fine style. And if India defeat Bangladesh tomorrow, then we should brace ourselves for a blockbuster Sunday. Now, Pakistan put in a commanding performance to qualify for their first ever Champions Trophy final after they defeated hosts England by 8 wickets at Cardiff. England got off to a slow but steady start with Johnny Bairstow and Joe Root playing cautiously to negate the Pakistani pacers, but couldn't put up much on the scoreboard. Their innings ended at 211 for Pakistan to chase. Pakistan hunted down the Barmy Army in fine style with 13 overs to spare. Pakistan will now face the winner of the second semi-final, that is either India or Bangladesh. We here at India hope that it is India on Sunday. Now, the second semi-final of the Champions Trophy will see 2 of the 3 Asian teams in action as India and Bangladesh face off in Edgbaston tomorrow. Both teams will be coming into the game high on confidence. India beat South Africa in convincing fashion, while neighbours Bangladesh stunned New Zealand to seal a semi-final spot. India, who are the defending champions in the competition, have been batting brilliant and will hope to continue their good form, whereas Bangladesh will also look to get one over the men in blue, just like they did in the 2007 World Cup.
They're in the top 8 sides in the world, so obviously they are playing really good cricket and they are doing a lot of things right to be in that position. And as I said, they have cricketers who are skilled, who are committed to play for Bangladesh and play with a lot of passion, and they're really keen to, win a lot of games at this level, and that shows in their attitude. And even the other day, I thought they were outstanding the way they applied themselves.
All right, time now for the hero, villain, ridiculous of the day, the big highlight of the Viewpoint. So who's the hero? Well, the hero is Lily, a superwoman who took on racist trolls and won. The villain of the day is the Hizbul for the despicable act in the valley, the way they've been spreading terror continuously. Remember, tomorrow is a big exclusive right here on CNN News 18 on the role and how the terror funding happens to embolden the very same Hizbul. And the ridiculous of the day has to be the Ayush Ministry for rehashing or regurgitating old data in the form of this booklet, which has certain suggestions for pregnant women. That's all the action we could pack in this edition of The Viewpoint. Good night. Thanks for watching.
The Viewpoint is live now.